Come in, Pike.
What do you think?
An obvious case of schizophrenia with a very strong guilt complex.
What caused it?
His father was a promising musician. His grandmother and his aunt expected him to be like his father. Instead, he was erratic, unreliable, a drifter. They constantly criticized him for his failure.
Yet he says that he liked them.
Sure. Because he feels guilty for hating them.
What about his parents?
Both dead. I gathered that his mother must have been dominated by the grandmother, who was a strict disciplinarian.
Well, when he comes up for plea tomorrow, I'll enter an additional plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. How do you feel?
In my professional opinion, he's insane.
The case of the people versus Clifford Pike went to trial in Superior Court on May 15th before Judge Homer Edwards. We elected to waive a jury trial. Dr. Anthony B. Collins, autopsy surgeon for the county coroner, established the cause of death of Miss Rosetta Pike, asphyxia from inhalation of smoke. Insurance investigator Berger told the court that Clifford Pike stood to inherit $15,000 in life and fire insurance upon his aunt's death. Deputy District Attorney Hornsby needed only a few witnesses to establish the contention of the state that Clifford Pike was guilty. He then rested his case. Having no witnesses to dispute the facts introduced and basing my hopes on the insanity trial to follow, I rested my case.
It is the verdict of the court that the defendant, Clifford Pike, is found guilty as charged. We will take up the sanity issue tomorrow. Court will recess until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Seems like a real nice fella. What's this about tomorrow? Am I going to be tried again?
Well, the psychiatrists who have been examining you will testify tomorrow as to your sanity.
Mr. Matthews, I'm not crazy. I'm as sane as you are.
For your sake, I hope you're not.
Your name, please.
Dr. Alfred Hughes.
And what is your official position, Doctor?
I'm chief psychiatrist of the State Hospital for the Criminally Insane.
You examined the defendant?
I did.
Will you tell the court the results of your examination?
I found Mr. Pike above normal intelligence, very clever and well-versed in the deeper significance of psychology.
Have you formed any opinion as to whether or not he's schizophrenic?
Yes, I have. It's my opinion that he's faking.
And on what do you base that opinion, Doctor?
A number of things. Primarily a series of tests, especially the Rorschach test. His reactions were definitely within normal limits.
Did you find any further clue that would tend to make you think the defendant is faking?
Yes. In his home, I found many books on abnormal psychology. Careful pencil marks have been made opposite references to hallucinations and the voices he claims he hears.
Thank you, Doctor. Your way.
Dr. Hughes, do you know of any people mentally ill that read books about their illness?
Yes.
Well, aren't most schizophrenics intellectually aware of their problem?
Many are.
Are these marks that you mentioned, couldn't the defendant have made the marks because they illustrate his problem?
In my opinion, he's simulating schizophrenia.
Would you mind answering my question, Doctor? I'll repeat it again. Could he have made the marks because they illustrate his problem?
Well, yes.
Thank you.
But
that'll be all, Doctor. You may step down. The prosecution then rested their case. I called as my first witness Dr. Miller. He stated the defendant was suffering from auditory hallucinations and delusions of persecution. He told of Pike's treatment at the hands of his grandmother and aunt, which caused his emotional instability. The prosecution did not cross-examine. My next witness was James Baldwin.
I'm a dispatcher on the day shift at the transit company.
You know the defendant, Mr. Baldwin?
Sure I do. Been a motorman for 5 months. Seen him every day nearly till he got fired.
Will you tell the court in your own words why he was discharged?
Yeah. He went off his rocker.
I object, Your Honor. The witness is not qualified to pass on the defendant's sanity.
objection sustained.
Exactly what happened.
Well, he was near the end of his run, see? 10, 12 blocks away with a loaded car. All of a sudden, no stops.
Go on.
Well, he went past 10 stops with the people yelling to get off. If you ask me, he's bats.
Your Honor, I must ask...
Strike the last sentence.
Your witness.
Mr. Baldwin, when did this event occur?
Wednesday, March 22nd.
March 22nd, are you sure?
He was fired the same day. Transit company don't let bums like him drive streetcars.
Your Honor, I must ask...
Strike everything after day.
Your Honor, I should like to place in evidence People's Exhibit number 14, a carbon copy of a letter I sent to Mr. Pike on March 20th, asking him to come to my office March 24th. On March 22nd, the day after he received this, he committed the act of joyriding in his streetcar. I submit to the court that this studied act of lunacy was the beginning of a clever plan to pretend insanity and fool his attorney and the doctors who examined him.
I object, Your Honor. The letter is irrelevant and immaterial and has no bearing on the sanity of the defendant.
Objection overruled. It is the finding of this court that the defendant was sane at the time of commission of the offense and is sane now. I'll put this matter over to the 28th for sentencing.
No. No, you can't let him do that. He made a mistake. I'm crazy.
Having been found sane, Clifford Pike was sentenced to die within 90 days. I went to visit him in the death house at the state prison.
They got no right to kill me. I'm not responsible. I'm insane.
I appealed to the state Supreme Court, but they turned us down.
Why can't they understand? The voices made me do it. Mr. Matthews, get me another psychiatrist.
Wouldn't do any good.
And go to the governor.
I'd like to, but I need to present extenuating circumstances. Now, isn't there anyone you knew as a boy who could testify in your behalf?
Neighborhood's full of new people.
Well, can't you remember who lived next door to you when you were a boy?
When they died, the new owners made a rooming house out of it. It's no use, there's nobody. Don't waste your time.
Don't you worry about that. It's my job to find someone. I was puzzled. My client's life was at stake, and yet he refused to cooperate. With the help of an old city directory, I located a former neighbor of the Pikes without too much trouble.
Yes, sir?
Hello, I'm Bart Matthews, Public Defender's Office.
Oh, yes. I read your name in the paper. You're Clifford's lawyer. Come in. I've been following the case very closely. You don't know how upset I've been. Is he